this is the image of the roommate. Where is it? This one. So that you will meet the first person. We're friend, I think. First person RPG. Okay. Any certain game, specific game that you're playing? My God, my head is in green screen, and my T-shirt is in green screen. Everything is in green screen. Bad green screen. Not good. God Eater. Oh, okay. Well, I actually do wanted to play PS Vita soon. Maybe after a few while I'll install. I don't know if there's an emulator though. I know how to connect it with computers. Okay, so we start with chapter 1. Miss Honey was a teacher almost 30 years old who wore her hair tied back in a bun and angular rimless glasses. Aside from her tendency to be melodramatic and her love of pop quizzes, she was a virtuous and devout believer. Hi, Aquarius. I'll be listening to your story. Thank you. Okay. But to Kieli, devout believer was not a compliment. My goodness, Kieli. Honestly, whatever is the matter with you? Honestly, whatever is the matter with you? My lord, oh, what are we to do with you? For a while now, Miss Honey had been lamenting the state of affairs, while repetitions from her limited collection of phrases, looking up at the ceiling with exaggerated gestures, and taking off her glasses to dab at her eyes with her handkerchief. Not only are you late, but dressed the way you are, don't tell me you didn't know about today's service. Does that sound like Miss Minchin and Miss Princess Sarah or something? I'm sorry, Miss Honey, Kelly apologized, checking her desire to say, I didn't know. She wanted to avoid giving lame excuses and having a pointless argument with her teacher. After all, it would look bad to say it was because no one had told her, even if that was the truth. A few of her classmates snickered in the 3 rows behind Miss Honey. Hi, Kyle Dexter. Welcome. We were just reading Kelly. This is a manga anime. My God, this green screen is killing my head, man. It's even green screen on my T-shirt. Alright, where were we? I'm really pissed off at the green screen. Where are we? Okay. Alright. A few of her classmates snickered in the 3 rows behind Miss Honey. They all wore their beautifully embroidered white choir uniforms. Kelly alone was dressed in the normal black bolero with its big collar. The plain black uniform had its own kind of dignity when everyone was wearing it. But right now, Kelly looked like in a witch in training, wearing a cheap robe who'd been thrown into a chorus of angels. The parish head priest would be giving a congratulatory address on the first day of the colonization day's holiday, so the service was not laid at the school's auditorium, but rather in the cathedral in the center of town. Kelly and other ninth graders at the boarding school would be signing the hymns, so they were to wear their white choir uniforms and meet in time for rehearsal. The announcement was made at the student assembly last week, but Kelly was in detention doing a report and thus absent. The school dorms were double rooms. So normally it wouldn't have been a problem for one of the roommates to miss an assembly. Unfortunately, Kelly didn't have a roommate, and neither her classmates nor her neighbors were kind enough to tell her. She was used to it and she didn't feel like crying to her teacher over every little incident. Okay, my head. Okay, yeah. I thought she had a roommate. So the chapter says she has a roommate, and it says here on the paragraph that she does not have a roommate. Now you know who she is, right? Well, there's nothing we can do about it now. As long as you're sorry, we'll let it go this time. Don't let it happen again. What the hell? That sounds like the guidance counselor niyan, Deve. Simulator. Maybe she'd made the right choice in opting not to make her excuses, because Miss Honey left it at that and let Kelly off the hook surprisingly easy. No, Dodo, don't dawdle. Get in line. The service is starting. Go to the back where you'll stand out as little as possible. Yes, ma'am. Kelly gave a quick bow as she passed by her teacher and took her place in the very back row of the choir. To her right, the freckle-faced, frizzy-haired Zilla let out a short laugh through her upturned nose. No doubt she was one of the girls who laughed earlier. Blonde-haired Becca suddenly appeared at her left. She glanced at Kelly, raised the skirt of her own black uniform, and winked as if to say, "It happened to me too." Kelly blinked at her for a second, then looked at Becca and let out a small, wry grin. It wasn't as if Becca wearing the black uniform would help Kelly at all, but it cheered her up a little. Sensing Zillah's dubious glare from her right, she suppressed her smile, erased the expressions from her face, and turned up forward. The choir stood and raised platforms against the wall, so even from the back row she could look out over the inside of the majestic central cathedral. A high arched ceiling capped the white concrete walls. She'd heard that the impressive stained glass covering the walls to the right and left and the electric lines designed to look like candles were gifts from the church in the capital. In the front, the back row priests were in neat lines on both sides of the pulpit, and behind them, the general congregation packed tightly into the pews. The diversely shaped hats of the parishioners wove together in an artless, uneven wave in contrast to the uniformity of the priests. Wow, the hell with that. That was quite an adjective. It baffled Kelly as much as ever that so many people would gather in reverence of a mother planet, whose name they couldn't even remember, and a god whose name they'd long since forgotten, but she didn't speak thoughtlessly of those things the way she used to. As far as Kelly knew, she was the only person who realized that there was no God in this church, and the church prestige continued unwavering to this day. Okay. That's one hell of a belief for a little girl. I mean, Kelly is just just a small little girl. That. The rustling noise of the worshippers' whispers that had filled the space suddenly fell silent. The white-robed head priest appeared from behind the curtain and proceeded to the pulpit at a leisurely pace. Kelly hid her grimace at the reverent sights that escaped the silent congregation here and there. She had seen the head priest many times since she was small, but she couldn't reconcile what was so holy about him that would elicit such appreciation of him from people. He was an aging man with thinning hair, and his stout build gave him a kind of dignity. Anyone passing him on the street, though, probably wouldn't think of him as anything more than a man getting on in years with a decent amount of wealth. For one thing, if he had any kind of sacred divine insight, how could he fail to notice that? There was no evidence that the church possessed no holy powers than that, weaving in and out of the chapel during prayers as if it owned the place. Shifting her gaze, Kelly could see the image of a man with a rope around his neck, floating in the air above the headspace. What? She just saw an image of a man with a rope around his neck. So that means that is that person dead? My god. Swollen blood vessels colored his face, a dark red as he peered with great interest at the manuscript from the head priest was reading. Okay, they need an exorcist for that. The hanged ghost. Okay, it's a ghost. It's really a ghost. The hanged ghost lifted his face as if he'd felt her gaze. His eyes met Kelly's, and his red blood swollen lips twisted in a crescent shaped grin. Oh dear. Kelly glared expressionlessly back at the hanged ghost and refocused her attention on the head priest. Okay, that's one way to scene zone a ghost. Even his also wonderful sermon that spoke so grandly of death and rebirth didn't leave any deep impressions. It just sounded phony to her ears. Okay, I get it. I get why she has that belief that she doesn't believe in God because she's probably just seeing ghosts anyway, and she haven't seen God maybe. Kelly, she heard a voice calling her name. Kelly, it's starting. Eh? When she came to herself, Kelly looked in the direction of the voice and saw Becca's blue eyes, like the glass eyes of a doll, winking at her from the end of the choir row. At the edge of her field of vision, Miss Hanny's rimless glasses glared angrily at her, as if to say, am I still going to have to talk to you before you're satisfied? The next thing she knew, the organ's accompaniment had started and the choir began singing the song of our first blessings. Kelly panicked and started dragging the lyrics from her memory, practically lip syncing along with the alto chorus, and looked over at Becca standing next to her. I think I remember when I did that when I was in choir. Becca stood as straight as she could, looking directly ahead, and her beautiful voice happily sang the soprano part. Kelly's row wasn't singing the soprano part, and Becca's lyrics were a little off. But to no one but Kelly would pay it any mind. After the service ended, it would be the colonization day's holiday that her whole class looked forward to so much. To Kelly, it would be just another boring, melancholy 10 days. How did you like it, guys? So, as I said, Kieli can see ghosts. It says here on the back that Becca, her only friend, which is the roommate, is a precocious spirit. It means that she's a ghost and she can see other ghosts too. But she ignores them, right? Quite good. Okay, let me get a pause, guys. One moment.